So, guys, we've got another episode going. My name is JD. I'm your host, and next to me on my left here we have Andy. Right? We're at Monkeyland still, so he's one of the other guys, and he's going to be telling us a bit more about him. So, Andy, first of all, tell us who you are, where you're from.
Yeah, so thank you, JD, for hosting me on your podcast. Andy is my name. I'm from the DRC.
From the DRC.
Yeah, from
Awesome.
DRC, Zaire.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, so I've been in this industry for quite a decade, and this is basically what I did study, like tourism industry.
So you studied tourism in a way.
I did study tourism.
What was your actual course name? What did you study?
Hospitality management.
Yeah. Okay.
Hospitality
So
management.
that's awesome. I didn't even study, so you've got one up on me there. But that's great, man. And then you told me you've been working here at Monkeyland for about 7 years.
Yes.
So in my books, that's what counts as experience.
Yes.
Because I always say what you can learn in books and what you see in reality is two different things. And if you don't experience it firsthand, I mean, that's it. So for me, a year in the university and a year of practical work, I'll take the guy that's been doing the year of practical work. But having that degree works because I don't have a degree and other people don't know what I can and can't do. So if I had a degree, I would find work much easier, right? And I wouldn't have to live like a hobo. No, it's awesome, man. We spoke a bit earlier, and I'd been working in the area many years ago, so we know a lot of the same people, some places. It's awesome, and that's something that you find, especially in tourism, is everywhere you go, you might know someone. It's really a small world eventually. I knew Laura and them, and that's how I decided I want to come chat to you guys. I was speaking to Benny earlier, right? And I said that's what I like about Monkeyland is you've got this big place, a forest where you can walk in. The animals aren't in enclosures, and that's kind of what I like. I have no problem. Just before that podcast ended, Benny had to be pulled away for a safari, or for a tour, sorry. But I was talking to him about animals in enclosures. I said, I have no issue with anyone keeping any pet, no matter what pet it is. As long as you are able to properly cater for that animal and its needs. Some animals, like most reptiles, can be kept in quite a small enclosure because reptiles aren't very active animals. But something like a monkey, they travel, they all over the place. Same with your bird sanctuary. I love it because it's massive. You look up at the sky and there's birds flying like overhead, like 100 meters above you probably. So that's why I love it, and that's why I decided to come and chat to you guys here. Now, you've been with Monkeyland for 7 years. You said you've been here, or you've been in the tourism industry for almost a decade. What else did you do?
So, if I have to talk about my background regarding my study, I've been studying quite a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been into different fields just to try to find my way somewhere. So the guiding was what kept me that long because I felt bored to work. I did feel bored working in other places where I didn't have the same interaction I had at Monkeyland. So what really kept me in here was this interaction having with different people from different country, different culture that you learn and able to share what you know and also learn from other people. So as I'll say before that, I was a chef, but I was more into the kitchen. So you don't really have to.
No.
Yes, you only have complain about them.
So you can cook good food.
Yeah. So
you have many wives.
I don't know if I can cook good food. It depends on the people who have tasted my food. But
the girls like you. If you can cook food, the girls like you.
That's why I learned how to cook.
Good. Man with a plan.
Yeah. So this where I see myself as being now doing the guiding, which I never did it before. So it was a new challenge, and at the end of the day, it's become a routine to me, and end up being a passion. So I become passionate about what I'm doing.
And no matter what it is, if you're passionate about what you do, you seem to thrive. You do really well in that industry. If you look at especially TikTok videos and YouTube videos, you will see you don't have, let's say, woodwork. You don't have to be interested in woodwork at all. But if you see someone that has a passion for woodwork and you can see how he works on the turntable, all that, and you're like, wow, look how good this guy is, immediately you become invested. And that's the same with anything. And, people pick that up. If you are passionate about, let's say, you doing the monkey tours, you're passionate about the monkeys, people can pick that up and they pick up on your enthusiasm and they enjoy the tour so much more. So much, I would go as far as saying that someone that has a lot of knowledge but is not enthusiastic compared to someone that has a little knowledge but is very enthusiastic, that person will do much better as a tour guide than the person with a lot of knowledge. So that's 100%. So yeah, having that enthusiasm. Okay, so you said you like enjoying, or you like to meet new people, new cultures, and so on. First of all, which country, all right, is your favorite country of people to have? Put you on the spot here. And if you come here and you see him and you're not from that country, no, he didn't pick you, eh?
So it's more than one country which I can.
All right.
I'll say from my experience, I had more interest going with people from countries. Let me just be honest. The Germans are kind of good and interesting about what you do because they came with accurate question. Question that makes sense. You also have like the French people, which have also some kind of interesting question. And they always have been asking me questions which had the answer, but it comes at the right time, so they can picture exactly what they see and be able to
interpret and turn it into a question.
Yeah, into a question, which I like. So we got the German, we got the Frenchies, we got that would be quite complicated. But I'll say also have the Indian.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Indian, especially the kids, the Indian kids, the children are they have so much question and
so much energy.
They also kind of funny because knowing what we have seen regarding India with the wildlife there, they have a lot of monkeys also on that side of the continent or on the other side of the world. But they came here and they are scared of the monkey which they see here. And I'll be like, you have monkey where you came from. And most of them will say like, we do have monkey in our backyard, but coming here, they'll be scared.
This is Africa.
They'll be scared to go into a protected reserve with monkey which are well more behaving than their monkey there in the back of the yard. So let's just be honest. I love all of you people. There's so many countries and nationality and culture which I learned, but I'll be honest with you, I love all of you. The 3 ones I named are the ones that I like most.
I've got an interesting story with the Indians. So you know that how in the Indian culture, so I always talk about the cultures. Each culture has its own, and what would be seen to me as rude is not rude for them. All right, so that's something that I've learned through tourism, and you learn to accept everyone. When I was in Turkey, I went to Turkey for a week, and to them, you stand in a line, obviously, like any other place. But if someone wants to come past you, to them, they don't ask where we go. Excuse me, can I come past? They just squeeze past, right? But that is part of their culture. So what I've had with the Indian culture is, like I said, they're so full of energy. I had a tour. I was doing a safari on a vehicle in a game farm, and I remember clearly, and this was back in 2011 or 12-ish. So I had grandma and mom and dad and the 2 kids, a boy and a girl. The girl was the youngest and so on. and I've got them, and I've got two other clients. I think I can't remember the other clients. I only remember this family. Any case, so we're there, and there's Waterbuck. Waterbuck got these big curved horns going forward, and they're fighting. And these Waterbuck, when they fight, they can be quite aggressive, and they can sometimes fight to the death. Now, me loving to take pictures as well, I went there and I said, "Listen, guys, quiet. These two Waterbuck are about to fight, right? Everyone quiet." And the Waterbuck go and they clash into each other. And they go, and this little girl, "Daddy, look! Did you see that? Did you take a picture, Daddy?" And as she says that, sorry, the Waterbuck stop and they look at us. I said, "No, shh, you got to be quiet, you know." And very politely, I said, "No, you got to be quiet, otherwise they're going to be scared of you." And she's like, "Okay, yes." And she sits, and they start again. "Oh, Daddy, do you get a video? Daddy, do you get a video?" And I'm like, "No, you got to be quiet. They're going to stop." And again, she says, and she looks at me. She's like, "Oh, shh." She sits there. But they've got so much energy, and this is not particularly to Indian children. This is children in general.
Yeah, children.
All right, but in India, in South Africa, if kids are too loud, you always get the parents like, "No, you got to be quiet. Don't talk."
Exactly.
Nowadays, you don't see it as often, but that's kind of the way I was brought up. And later that evening, I had them in the restaurant as well, and I served them. But during the tour, because the other clients, you can see the other clients are getting upset because they want to also see this. And the next time this little girl, I go, "Hey, shut up now," which is something you never do, right? I was like, "Shut up now," because I can see the other clients also getting angsty, so I need to control the situation. And I apologize to the parents, and they say, "No, it's fine." But the thing is, they don't stop the children either way. But that night I had them in a restaurant. I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be upset. It's just, we have a natural experience happening, and we need to have it happen without interfering from our side. So I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it," and they laughed about it and had a good one afterwards. But yeah, that's my Indian story. And I've got stories not just about Indians. I've got everyone, every culture, because I've been in the industry for a long time yourself.
Yeah, I also have this story for everyone, but if we start now, we'll never finish this podcast. And you will need another day for us to meet again and to talk more.
No. And now, with all these foreigners, do you speak any other languages?
Yeah, so basically, as we from the DRC, it's a country where French is being spoken. And
a lot of West Africa, Central West Africa, speak French. Yeah.
And at school, we also had to learn other languages, which was part of some different subjects.
Oh, okay, that's beneficial.
Yeah, that was beneficial. So the educational system there, it's quite different compared to here, which we have more other subjects, as you can choose different languages as well, that you'll be able to perform with as probably planning to move to those countries, but you already have a background of speaking the languages. So I had a chance to learn Portuguese and Spanish.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I less did practice my Portuguese, but or did also practice my Spanish. But the less people you meet, the less you can actually communicate with. So I can speak a few different languages. French is the main languages at all, spoken from my house and from most of my family members. And then we learn the other languages as a subject at school. So I speak French, Spanish, a bit of Portuguese, and we have our common local languages back home, like Lingala, Swahili.
You got Swahili up there as well?
Yeah, we
also
do have Swahili. So,
because Swahili would be more towards Tanzania, those areas.
No, we're not far from Tanzania.
No, you're all.
Our country is actually surrounded by 9 other countries.
Wow.
Yeah, which most of those countries, our neighborhood countries, speak Swahili as well.
Okay.
So they were a kind of mixed culture, which has been happening those years back in the days where people from Tanzania traveled to Congo and people from Congo went to Tanzania, exchanging the languages, bringing it back here. But Swahili, it's a very common language spoken in the western part of Africa.
Okay, interesting. That's interesting. So French is one of the more commonly spoken languages across the world, actually. But I've had it so many times. So the French and the Italians they are the ones that struggle the most with English. So it's interesting how French is such a big language, but English, they don't speak much English. So that's great for you to have a French background because you can communicate with them very well. It's always hard for us to speak or try and do a tour for the French people that some of them don't understand it. What I have most of the time is the kids speak English and then they translate for the parents. So that's quite common and interesting. And for us, if there's no kids, you go like, that's a monkey with ringy tails, you try and explain as best as you can. So yeah. Well, that's what you do as a guide. You need to communicate and go in. All right, so you grew up in the DRC. When did you move?
So I moved. I moved about I'll say to year about 8 years ago. Yeah.
So you studied up there and then moved down.
I also studied here.
I also studied here.
So in fact, I moved in here and did study culinary art.
Culinary arts, yeah, the chef.
So
you're gonna do Master Chef for us?
That's why I changed now for guiding because I was tired of working in the kitchen. I mean, after watching those shows where you see Chef Gordon Ramsay shouting, I don't want to have a chef like that in my kitchen. But anyway, so I did my study of chefing here in Johannesburg, which I did the hot kitchen and the cold kitchen. I was planning to carry on with pastry. I like sweet stuff, yeah, but that's still part of my plan, and I may do it later on if I'm done with this.
Yeah, it's always good to have background to fall into. We saw now with COVID how quickly COVID comes in and wipes out our industry so quickly. So to me, immediately after COVID, as soon as COVID was passed and we started stabilizing again, I started going into the food industry as well. I started up a little cafe, takeaway cafe. Nothing big, nothing serious, but like the basics, fish and chips and a bit of chicken and pork and whatnot. We had a big diversity. But I immediately realized because I had this one directional thing about tour guides. Thank you. So I had this one directional idea about tourism, and tourism is so great because it's everything I knew. It's what I grew up with. I did my first tour in the Niza Forest when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
On horseback, and with Mike and them at the Snake Chain Show, I did it at, I think, age 14. When I started with them, I was a volunteer, but they would not allow me to work with the snakes because I'm still young, and obviously they don't know me. So I went there holidays, weekends. I would catch like a bucket of frogs, take that with, and I bred mice and rats for extra pocket money so I could sell to feed the snakes. Oh. So I'd show up with my bucket of frogs, bucket of dead rats, and give that to Mike, and then they'd make me clean windows. So I'd stand there and like just gawk at the snake the whole day. Oh, it's so beautiful. They had the cleanest windows ever because I had like split out. I loved it so much. And then they started, because I've got an Afrikaans background, Mike and them are all English, even though Mike speaks very good Afrikaans. He allowed me to do tours for, if it was just a small family, like 2 people or 2 people with kids, I would be able to take out them for a little Afrikaans tour. And soon I just grew into the family. I grew up with them in the house. I watched the kids grow up. They're really like part of my family. So, I started doing tours with the Snake Sanctuary probably when I was about 14 years old, and then just grew in and then went away. We moved to Oudtshoorn for a bit. I worked there on a game lodge. Also from 16, I had the actual guide drive, and after a while they trusted me enough so I could talk and tell the people about the animals and the plants. They enjoyed it because it's less talking for them. And for me, I love it. I love people. I love talking. And they were just like, go for it. So, that's kind of the background. So it's interesting to find out how people get into it. And you say you actually train in the culinary arts, and then you switch over, and now you're a tour guide. You chat to people.
Yeah. Life is about challenges, and you have to tell yourself that you're able to do stuff, and just for your own improvement, and see how you do things happening. So for me, as I did the other field, my background on other fields, I've been working in different places, I've did a lot of jobs. And being in the kitchen was also good, but the time being in the kitchen, for those who doesn't know what's happening in there, it's not as easy. The only problem I had was a complaint about people of not happy about the food. And you'll be putting all your effort to provide a good services and just have like someone who did it like to pinch of salt you put extra just to give some taste to the food. And in my chefing career in Johannesburg, the funny story I had was this guy that came to our hotel and he ordered a kind of dish that no one could have made it. So he did ask for stuff that should have normally been used to cook, but he asked us to remove it. So we had to figure out as four chefs what to offer to this guy. But that was just funny because we were all wondering, do I have to put some salt? No, he said no salt. Do I have to put some oil? He said no oil. Do I have to put some spice? No spice on it. So what type of dishes we have to serve and offer to the guy? But funny and fair enough, we managed to do something and serve to the client, which he was happy about that. We were all like,
that can't be nice.
yeah, we were like, this can be served to someone. But he was like, yeah, I'm happy. Thank you, guys.
It sounds like my wife. My wife doesn't eat tomatoes, onions, mushrooms. She doesn't like salt in her food. So it's very similar. And I cook food and I love cooking. I'm not a culinary artist like yourself. I can braai and I can make some lekker food. I can make
the best food to do, to make.
I'm a man, okay, I'm braai. But I can make like making nice pastas, cannelloni, chicken cannellonis, things like that, with nice stuffing. I'm an outsider, so if you're in the area, let me know. But so I always try and make it nice. You add the flavor, you build the flavor, and with her, she's like, give the chicken and the pasta and just like mix it, and it's fine. There's like, you can't build on the flavors, and I'm like, how do you enjoy it? And the worst part is, no matter what you do, she'll take that food and she'll dump tomato sauce, all gold tomato sauce all over it. So everything she eats always tastes like tomato sauce. I can't. And the worst is, okay, so she doesn't eat that much. I always dish up a nice healthy meal for her, and she doesn't eat everything, but she throws tomato sauce over everything. And I have to eat that tomato sauce meal every single time. So no, I'm still trying to train her, say less tomato sauce, only on half, your half, that's my half. So it's interesting how you get that. And you were talking about people complaining. Some people just love to complain, and they'll complain about anything. So that's something, even as a guide, you get. If you go read TripAdvisor about yourself and things that people say, and you're like, what? This never happened. This is not how it happened. But there will always be people who complain. So it's something we deal with very often. And we've had people complain in the one lodge that the color blue on the curtain did not match the color blue on the bedding or their towels or something like that, So yeah, what is the stupidest thing someone's ever complained about for you?
To me, I was talking about Monkeyland. So I had a complaint, and I had many complaints of people who have paid already to go on the tour, and I'll be the one taking them on the tour. But as we go on tour, they tell you like, we don't like the place, we don't like this animal. I'll be like, but how did you end up here? Yeah,
there's a big sign outside.
That's a big sign. So, and I'll be like, you crossed the 2 gates, you went to the reception, you purchased a ticket, knowing that you're going into a forest with free roaming monkey, and just before the tour, you tell me that you don't like this animal. But I had such complaints, and I always try to do my best, bringing the people to make them understand that you may come with a kind of bad experience or from a places where you went to and had some kind of bad interaction with monkey. But it may not happen here with me, so I'll make sure that I make you feel like at home and I'll take care of you.
Yeah.
So, and beside that, I'll bring some kind of my knowledge in for you to not being scared of being here. So I always try to be funny, and I figure out that a sense of humor can break the ice from people who are sometimes shy,
Yeah.
afraid, and those who don't speak or who are afraid to talk.
Some of the best guides are comedians. That's it. People that make you laugh.
Oh yeah, they say I'm funny, but I met more funny people than myself,
Yeah.
and most of my jokes are what I actually got from other people.
Exactly.
And the way I just use those jokes, people will be like, "You're funny." I'll be like, "Yeah, but that's not even my joke. I got it from somewhere else." So yeah, I always try to keep that sense of humor. I think a sense of humor opens a lot of doors because when you have someone smiling at you, it tells a lot because the smile is actually the reflection of the inside of the person expressing now has been able to be open to you. So I always like to bring that sense of humor into my tool or any time I meet someone else or someone new. So I'll always try to be that kind of funny guy.
No, that's awesome. Man, so you've got a tour coming up. I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much for speaking to me, man. It was really nice.
That's not the last time. Please, guys, subscribe to his channel.
Oh, thank you very much.
James is going far, and these podcasts will be the best ever in the Western Cape.
Anyway, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, man.